Hello everybody and welcome back to this tutorial, and right now let us continue with our class that we coded in the previous video. So we managed to actually code an employee class, and we also added two instances of this class. We added the Adam and the Jack and their information, of course. Now that we did all of that, let's take a look at some of the other things that we can actually do in this class. So for example, we know that this emp count variable can be accessed within and within this class and outside of it. So in order to access it, you can simply just print it or use it in a print statement. There are, and then you can just concat the string value of the employee.emp count plus employees in the company dot. Oops, let me just see right here. Employee, the string value of this, string employee.emp count. Let me just try to print it like this. Or let's just print employee.emp count. Let's see if it will get printed out like this. Okay, so it will. We can print it in a different way, so we can print it just like this. There are %d, which stands for printing the integer, employees in the company. And then after the %d, we can specify right here, open and close brackets, and the actual variable that we want to print instead of the %d. So I'm not really sure if we did cover, I think we didn't really cover this before. Basically, %d in a string represents an integer value that you will specify right after you close the single quotes. And you specify it just like this. So you use the percentage sign, and after it, in the brackets, you specify the actual variable that you want to print instead of the %d. Okay, so employee.emp count. And if we print this, we can see there are two employees in the company. Now that we actually covered this, let us also cover the strings as well. So in order to actually print an integer, we saw that we only need to add %d in a string and then specify the variable like this afterwards. If you want to print an actual string, you need to specify %s and then and then use the same statement like this. So let me just show you right here. Let's say string equals hello, and you want to print it like this, so %s world, and world, and then you need to add the % and then string in between the brackets right afterwards, and you will replace the %s with a certain string. In order to actually change it for an integer, we saw it right here, so let's take a look at another example as well. So number equals 2. Print the number is %d for the integer value, then % afterwards, and in between the brackets, number. And you can see it will print out the number is 2. But more about that later on. For now on, let us continue with our class. So we have it coded right up here. We have two instances of this class. One of them is Adam, one of them is Jack. And right now, I just want to show you that you can actually change specific values for all of these instances. For example, let's say you want to change an email for Jack. You can simply do that by going right here and specifying the actual employee, and then which employee Jack is, he's employee number 2, and then dot. And you can access the actual specific parts of the variables accessed for the Jack. As we can see right here, we have name, email, and age. We want to access email, and then equal, we want the email to be equal to, for example, jack36@gmail.com. And you will see that right now, if we display information once again for Jack, using the display information function, you can see that the actual email for Jack has been changed. You can also, if you want to, delete specific elements with the simple del command. So delete, and then you want to delete employee from the Adam and then you want to delete his age, you can simply do that by specifying delete employee.age. And if you just type here employee1.show information or display information, pardon me, we're displaying information for Adam, and you will see that the employee has no object or attribute age. And in order to actually add the age for Adam, you can simply just use employee1.age equals 17 or 16. You can see Adam was 15, let's say he aged, and right now if you just type to print it once again, right now Adam is 16 years old. Okay? So there are also certain other things that you might want to take a look at, such as the get attribute object, the has attribute object, set attribute object, and delete attribute object. Now, instead of using the normal statements to access attributes like these ones, you can use these following functions. So basically, get attribute is the function that will access the attribute of an object. Such as, for example, if you just type here get attr, which stands for get attribute, and in between the brackets you need to specify from which instance you want to get or basically this function right here will have two actual arguments. The first one will be the instance that you want to access, which in our case, let's say we want to access Jack, so he's employee 2. And the second argument will be which actual value you want to access for the employee 2. And let's say we want to access age. So you specify it in between the double quotes. And basically what this function will do is it will return the value of age attribute. Whoops. Employee object has no attribute age. Yeah, because it is probably small letters. So get attribute employee 2 age. Okay, so here it is, and you will simply just get outputted right here the age of employee 2. Okay, now the next one is basically has attribute. You can check out whether a certain instance, or in our case employee, has a certain attribute. So for example, has attribute of employee 1, which is Adam, I believe, whether he has attribute let's say phone number, and you will have the Boolean value of true or false returned if the actual attribute has, if the actual instance has that attribute, it will return true value, and if it doesn't have, it will of course return the false value. As it says right here, we don't really have anyone with a phone number, therefore the has attribute function returned false. Okay. You can also set different attributes by specifying the set attributes function. So set attr, specifying the employee. Let's say we want to change the Adam, and we want to change his, for example, name. Let's say he renamed himself for some reason, doesn't even matter. And the third argument will be the changed value. So Adam is no longer named Adam. He is now named, for example, John. Okay. You basically set that right here, and if you just type here employee and display information, you will see that there is no longer Adam. Now his name is John, even though his email is still adam@gmail.com, but you can change that as well if you want to. And also the last one will be the delete attribute, which is the same as this right here, just maybe you prefer this version of it right here. So delete, and then attr, and in between the brackets, of course, employee. Let's say we want to delete John's email address because he changed name, so employee 1, and the actual attribute you want to delete, which is going to be in our case email. And right now, if you show employee 1.display information, it will get an error because the actual John has no longer email. So we have to add a new email for John. So those are just some of the actual functions that you can use in order to change different values of attributes, in order to basically interact with different instances of this class. So basically that would be about it for this tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye!